This was inevitable. We have a huge update to go over regarding the New York Yankees and some of their young players, with there being a whole lot of trade talks right now. The team is trying to win currently and be a win now team in 2026, and obviously with a bunch of important names on the trade block, there have been some talks surrounding some of the Yankees' youngest and brightest stars being traded elsewhere in a win now type of effort, and we are going to go over all that, the impact that free agency has, and much more on this topic as well, so you want to make sure to stay tuned. But guys, real quick before we jump into it, if you're part of that 69% that's not subscribed to Yankees Digest, make sure to go ahead and subscribe to keep you up to date with everything the New York Yankees are doing this offseason and everything else in between as well. If you want to know ball, this is the place to be for New York Yankees baseball. But let's jump right into things, because there is a lot to talk about on the team right now, because the Yankees, they're going to have some tough decisions to make regarding a few different players on this roster. I mean, we know there's going to be trade talks in one way or another. Just seeing how important that everyone has been for this Yankees team when it comes to the current players on the team, it's kind of hard to find some spaces to get some of these young players up here. I mean, one of them in particular who sort of lost a lot of footing was Jasson Dominguez. Came out as the Yankees left fielder because even though he was a center fielder, the Yankees wanted to move him to left and keep Trent Grisham in center field and then have Cody Bellinger play the position if it wasn't going to be Grisham because Grish had a day off. With Grisham back on the team, the Yankees having a lot of interest in trying to re-sign Cody Bellinger, everything sort of makes sense that it's kind of tough to find Jasson Dominguez a spot, especially because even if the Yankees weren't to re-sign Bellinger, they also will be going for Kyle Tucker, and that'll probably ramp that up, meaning it's hard to find space for Dominguez. Aaron Judge is expected to be back in the outfield, and then also with the talk about Spencer Jones and everything surrounding him, it instantly becomes difficult to see where everything goes. Now, one option is if you re-sign Bellinger, do you put him at first base? And Brendan Cuddy talked about that, saying that if the Yankees sign Bellinger and Dominguez ends up the starting left fielder, it'll be because dominoes fell elsewhere. In that scenario, it would seem likely that the Yankees decided to put Ben Rice behind the plate full time and moved on from Austin Wells. That seems unlikely. Wells is still an above average defensive catcher who the Yankees hope could still show promise with his bat that it displayed through the minors and at various points in 2024. The Yankees highly value defense behind the plate, and while Rice has held his own there, he might be better off long-term at first base. Now, on top of that, Cuddy did mention that left field is hard, especially at Yankee Stadium, and the Yankees surely recognize the difference between having Bellinger over Dominguez there last season. Also, with the 9 figures that Bellinger is likely going to produce, the Yankees probably won't want him up to his first base usage until he runs out of steam in the outfield. Credit to Dominguez for going to the Dominican Republic to work on his defense and right-handed hitting, but he might be looking at a future where he's a 4th outfielder or traded if the Yankees re-sign Bellinger. And honestly, it just wouldn't surprise me at this point if the Yankees move on from Dominguez. With Trent Grisham coming back, it makes things very difficult. Now, the Yankees always could just try to trade Grish if they wanted to, and I actually would prefer that option. But with Dominguez, basically what happens right now is a man who had a 257 batting average and a 719 OPS with an OPS plus a 101, also 23 stolen bases. He does add something on the offensive end of it, and he is a talented fielder. He's just thrown into a position that he hasn't done before, and left field is notoriously harder at Yankee Stadium. That being said, Dominguez did start to find footing there. It's just he wasn't Cody Bellinger, because Bellinger is a star and he's an elite defender, and Bellinger, he's bounced all over the outfield, did that with the Yankees, had an OPS of 813 and an OPS plus of 125. He was excellent in Yankee Stadium specifically, with a batting average of 272 as well and 29 home runs. Bellinger had his best year since he won MVP. He's a very important player to the Yankees, and the Yankees do want to try to re-sign Bellinger, and if they do, then obviously that'll have a huge impact on a lot. But there's also the world where Bellinger leaves, and then the Yankees, they will sort of recoil enough to figure out what's next. I mean, when you look at the top guys getting paid here, Kyle Tucker's number 1, then it's expected that Framber Valdez is 2, Cody Bellinger is 3, Pete Alonso's 4, and Alex Bregman is 5. That's how this is starting to sort of shape out right now. Bellinger, one of the 3 players projected to get over $30 million on average annual value. The Yankees aren't putting him at first base. That's just not happening. There's no world where that happens whatsoever. They will not sign Cody Bellinger. Then be like, all right, first base. They're not going to just negate or neglect an elite fielder like that. That's unbelievably a dumb idea. So they're not going to do that. It's just, there's no world where that happens, and it shouldn't happen. Why would they? So with that in mind, what do you do with the rest of your outfielders? And that does include Spencer Jones, a man who just had a 933 OPS and a 274 average with the minor leagues, hitting 35 home runs and stealing 29 bases. Spencer Jones is ready to come up to the MLB. Now that we see the Yankees have at least Judge and Grisham back out there, Jones and Dominguez might have to fight for a spot, and on top, or will have to fight for a spot. And then on top of that, the same issue is, what if Bellinger resigns? It's totally a possibility that could totally happen, and it wouldn't be surprising if it did happen. So with all that in mind, it makes it tough for these young guys. And again, that does include Jones. It includes Spencer Jones. You start to ask, all right, well, we know that it makes some sense to move on from Dominguez at this point. Will the Yankees move on from Spencer Jones? Because we know from the past with Jones, the Yankees were only willing to move on from him if it was for Paul Skeens, who is not going anywhere. John Heyman mentioned that back at the trade deadline, so that's not happening. But as Brendan Cuddy said, everything short of a starting job in the outfield on opening day appears to be on the table for Spencer Jones. The educated guess here is that the Yankees hold him into spring training to see what he's got. If Jones isn't around, it's because he's been used as a piece of a major trade, and it's too early to predict that, which makes things even harder. Now, if they were to make a trade for someone, obviously the best name that's been on the trade market at all has been Tarik Skubal. The Yankees would likely try to maneuver a trade where they move Tarik Skubal for some package that surrounds Spencer Jones. Probably Will Warren as well gets thrown into that deal with a few other pieces as well. But that's also with the expectation that Detroit ultimately does move on from Skubal, which is far from a guarantee. There's a good chance they decide, nope, we could win a World Series. We'd rather try to do that, and if it takes losing Skubal via free agency, it is what it is. We have a window, and we are going to pursue that window when we have it, because we haven't had one in so long now that it's really tough to just move on from Tarik Skubal. And also, again, yeah, then the Yankees, if they do think the Tigers are willing to, then they go make a move involving Jones and Will Warren and something like that, or Dominguez, and all of a sudden that outfield looks a lot less cramped. That is really how the Yankees have to sort of navigate this situation, especially because if you can go get Skubal, you obviously go get him. A pitcher with a 6.5 WAR, a 2.21 ERA, pitched in 31 games and had 241 strikeouts and a whip of 0.891, winning the pitching triple crown, winning the Cy Young again, being an all-star, getting the ERA title, getting every single damn award that he could possibly get. This season, Tarik Skubal was nothing short of phenomenal. The man was absolutely incredible out there all year long. And yeah, you go out there and you try to land him if you can. But that's with the caveat that you think you can land him. There's a world where the Tigers try to trade him and get a package that is better than what the Yankees are offering, because the Yankees don't have the best farm team in baseball, so there's teams that can go out there and beat their offers. So that's going to be a big question mark going into everything as well. On top of that, I'm not sold. I would rather see the Yankees trade Trent Grisham, if I'm being honest. There's nothing against Grish, but he's got a year left. He accepted that qualifying offer, so clearly he didn't have a massive market or anything. I think it makes sense to move on from Grish and go with one of the younger guys, though I see the reasoning to not do that at all as well. But guys, what do you want to see happen? Let me know in those comments down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day. Go Yankees.